What's up guys, my name is Ace, and the heavily anticipated console release for Delta Force is now live, and I've been really excited for the release of this because I've been enjoying the game quite a bit on PC for a while now, and I was excited to see this reach a much wider audience with console. However, unfortunately, my experience on console has been so bad that the game is effectively unplayable for me. And that really sucks because, like I said, I went into this really optimistic. This isn't the video I wanted to be making today. I'm not just trying to rage bait for easy views or anything. I genuinely was planning on my first Delta Force video being a best controller settings video and then starting to dive deep into some tips. And I've been getting ready to grind out some content for this game with the likely big influx of players coming for console. So I don't want to be making this video, but I'm also going to be honest with you guys. This game, at least in my experience with it so far on a standard PS5, has been so bad that I was barely able to make it through this first match that you're watching gameplay of in the background. And the primary issue I've been dealing with is this game makes me incredibly nauseous when I play it on PS5, which is weird because I never get nauseous from video games. Even VR games where a lot of people would tend to get nausea, I don't get that. But as I said, I barely made it through this first match. And since then, I have tried tweaking graphic settings and it's still giving me that nauseous feeling. And I'm not 100% sure I know exactly what the cause of this is, but I suspect it's a combination of a frame rate issue as well as a character movement issue that's just not really compatible with controllers. So let's first talk about that frame rate issue. Again, keep in mind I'm on a standard PS5, which has no problem handling high frame rates on other FPS games out there. But by default in this game, VSync is turned on, which keeps you at a pretty steady 60 FPS, at least based on the in-game indicator. But in my experience, even though it says it's outputting at 60 FPS, it feels significantly choppier than what would be expected at 60 FPS. Now, perhaps there's some issue that's causing this on my end, although I don't experience this with any other game, so I don't know what that issue would be. But what I found is if I turn VSync off in the graphic settings, it does feel a little bit smoother, but the screen tearing gets really bad. And also, in-game, it states that I'm getting over 100 FPS in some situations, and yet it still seems to be hard capped at outputting 60 FPS. Even though all my settings and stuff on my PS5, it's all set up to handle 120 FPS just fine, and it works with other games, no problem. For some reason, it appears this game is capping out at outputting 60 FPS for me. So I think whatever's going on with that is probably the primary reason that I just can't play this game without feeling sick. I've also never experienced this issue in Delta Force at all on PC. It's always been totally fine for me. I've actually enjoyed the game quite a bit on PC, which is one of the reasons I was looking forward to this so much. But I don't think it's the only issue that's causing this nauseous feeling. I think the other issue is the character movement is not really designed for controllers, and it still feels quite bad, even though apparently they were going to be making some changes from the beta till launch. And just a reminder, the one big piece of feedback I had with the beta release of the game, which interestingly, I wasn't getting that nauseous feeling throughout the beta, but in that, the big piece of feedback I had is the movement felt binary. So it meant you couldn't move your character very slowly by just moving your analog stick very slightly, like you can in basically any game that's designed properly for a controller. Instead, you were either moving at full speed or not at all. Even if you just barely touch the analog stick, you're going straight to full speed. And for the launch of the game, it does seem they've implemented some variable movement speed to account for that analog input. Like if I move just a little bit, it will be moving slower than if I'm moving my stick all the way. However, I feel it's still far too fast and choppy on the low end of movement. So even if you're just getting a slight amount of stick drift, like that's how little you're moving your analog stick, it still seems like quite a big jump. It's not a very slow, smooth movement as you would expect. And this is especially noticeable if you're strafing back and forth at all, which I will often do to make precise adjustments to my aim and my recoil control. That's called left stick aiming. You use your right stick primarily to control that vertical recoil, and then moving with your left stick, so strafing side to side, is generally a bit more precise for accounting for a lot of that horizontal deviation, and it works great in most games. Not this game at all. It's super choppy. It doesn't feel like there's any momentum to your movement. So you go from even just a slight movement on your analog stick to suddenly strafing quite quickly because of that. And then when you change direction and you want to go the other direction, there's like zero delay. It happens instantly and you're suddenly strafing really fast in the other direction. And if you're going back and forth, it is super jarring, super choppy, and it doesn't feel smooth at all like it should be and like it would with, again, basically any other FPS game I've ever played that's designed with controller in mind. And unfortunately, because of those two primary issues and the fact that I can't finish a game without feeling nauseous, means that on console, for me at least in my experience, I just won't be able to play this game. And I'd love to be providing more detailed feedback here and have some like pros and cons and a normal initial impressions video where I could state that, hey, I'm liking this game, but there are some issues that need to get worked out. Unfortunately for me, at least, the main issues are so bad that I literally can't overlook them and try to focus on the positives because I can't finish a match without feeling sick. And it's so strange to even hear those words coming out of my mouth because, like I said, I have never had this issue with video games in the past. This is the first time this has happened to me. And I'm hoping for the sake of the game, this is just some weird issue that's going on with my particular setup on my end. I'll keep trying for a little bit to see if I can get these settings worked out, but so far, everything I've tried just hasn't worked. I hope this is something that not everybody is experiencing, because I am rooting for Delta Force to succeed on console. But for me, in its current state, at least on my setup, it's unplayable. Now, I still plan on playing this game on PC, at least from time to time, leading up to like Battlefield 6 and Black Ops 7. So perhaps, depending on how much interest there is, I still may be able to make some like tip videos and stuff. Just instead of those videos being more console focused with console gameplay, it'll instead be PC gameplay and mouse and keyboard gameplay. So this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. For those of you guys that have tried out Delta Force on console, how has your experience been so far? Have you experienced what I've been experiencing where things are so choppy and bad that you literally feel nauseous, or maybe just choppy and bad to the point where it doesn't feel good to be playing? Also, how are you feeling about the general controller feel in the game? Has it worked out fine for you, or maybe not so much? And do you plan on continuing to play this game going forward? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.